Sports Radio, the iHeartRadio app, and Fox Sports 1. Holly Saunders alongside. We'll get to the news with her. And then Jim Jackson's going to join us. We'll talk some NBA. NBA saw their highest Christmas rated game since 2003 with yesterday's incredible slate of games, which culminated in the Timberwolves taking down the Lakers, although the Lakers without three starters. We'll talk some Lakers. We'll talk some Durant and LeBron. And, of course, we'll talk about the initial game, which the Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid beat up on the New York Knicks in the fourth quarter and got that win. One of the games in the middle was really, really interesting to me. It's hard to pinpoint what's changed with the Oklahoma City Thunder outside of the fact that defensively they become really good. They've won 11 of the last 14 games. And, of course, yesterday they took down the Houston Rockets. But I think a lot of the discussion, while we point to Melo and the fact that they've gotten back to, hey, Russell Westbrook is going to take 20 or 25 shots, and everybody else is just going to have to find their way around it. Oklahoma City seems to have stabilized themselves. They beat the Rockets, which, record-wise, is a huge win. But does anyone really believe in the Rockets? Right? It's like the Rockets are fun. The Rockets can score. The Rockets have an MVP candidate in James Harden, who, in truth, could have won it 3 years ago or last year, and nobody would have batted an eye. Nobody. He has been, statistically, as dominant a player as we've seen in the NBA. He's tremendous. And then they added Chris Paul. But if you were to say there was a flaw to Chris Paul's resume, what would it be? Well, two. One, can't stay healthy. He's hurt currently. And two, can't win in the playoffs. Now, I think that the health is one of the main reasons he hasn't been able to win in the playoffs. But it's fair to say that if there was a knock on Chris Paul, arguably the best true point guard in the NBA over the last 15 or so years, it's kind of a vanishing position. The knock against him, can't stay healthy and can't win big in the playoffs. Then you combine that with the knock against James Harden. Disappeared when he was at the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Finals, right? And has disappeared at times in the playoffs with the Rockets. Oh, and Mike D'Antoni's their coach. And what's the knock against Mike D'Antoni? Can't win the playoffs. Oh, and not just the style that D'Antoni plays, but analytics basketball. That goes out the window and you don't win the playoffs. So I don't know whether you want to relate it to the Kansas City Chiefs, who everybody thinks have continued to achieve greatness in the regular season. They once again won the AFC West, and this is Andy Reid, right? Got to one Super Bowl, but did get to, six consecutive, you count the Super Bowl year, NFC Championship games. Like, he's been a dominant regular season coach, but there's been something that's limited his ceiling. Maybe it's the personnel that he didn't have with Don McNabb, not a great all-time quarterback. And maybe that's what limits him in Kansas City. But there is a certain parallel there to which I can't buy the Kansas City Chiefs because so many times over the past 25 years, they've won, one playoff game? One? And it's Alex Smith who needed to be replaced in order for the Niners to take that next step, get to the Super Bowl. Or maybe they're Bitcoin. By the way, does anybody actually know what Bitcoin is?
You're talking to somebody who pays for everything in cash and still writes checks. I have no idea.
Wait, you still write checks? You have a checkbook?
Yes, I don't balance it, but I have a checkbook.
That's not true. You do balance it. When you go to the ATM, you're like, I need my updated balance. That's sort of
what is it?
Checks?
I have written checks recently.
Wow, that's
you
amazing.
Don't have any?
I do have checks. I have written them occasionally, but I can't say, like, if I lost my checkbook, I'm not sure I would know.
I would probably know.
Yeah,
I'm like advertising.
You're the one costing everyone time at the grocery store. Like, just run the ATM
No,
thing.
it's not like that bad. No. But I'm like advertising right now that I carry all this cash around. I'm like asking to get robbed this holiday season.
Bitcoin is cryptocurrency is what I'm told, right?
Oh, that clears it up.
Right? It's cryptocurrency. It's like, doesn't have to do anything to do with what country you're in. And I don't know if you know, it had like a wild week. Like, it was trading above like 18,000, then dropped down to like 10,000, then it's back up to like 15,000, right? But I don't know anyone who's going to go like, hey, long-term Bitcoin, that's a big-time investment. Why? Because there's nothing like tangible. If I can't hold a Bitcoin in my, it's a little bit, do you read books? Do you read,
it's not very nice.
No. I'm just well, look. I read a lot. My kids get on me like, you never read books. Like, I actually read a lot. I just read articles from The Athletic, or I read, more online periodicals than I do actually sit down with a book. But there is something to still being able to, one, actually touch a book, and then two, when you're done, close up a book, which you can't do when you have that. Have you ever had a reader? What are those things called where you're
Like a Kindle?
Yeah, like a Kindle.
Yeah.
Like a Kindle, it doesn't feel like you read a book when you read a book. Like, oh, I can't believe I just read that book. That felt really good.
Yeah,
It
there's
feels
no
a lot
sense
better
of
when you-
accomplishment.
Right.
I get that. Yeah.
So I can't tell if it's the Chiefs thing and they haven't done it in the playoffs, so I can't believe they're going to do it, and that's the Rockets. If it's the Bitcoin, which it feels like it's too far ahead, and they think they're too smart, and the analytics and the three-point shooting, and I know at the end of the day, like, that's not how you win NBA playoff basketball games, or it's simply like the knock against every one of the guys on their roster and their coach and Daryl Morey, who's a brilliant guy, and put together this team to which, like, I don't know, a lot of us naysayers like, I don't know if that'll work. And James Harden still doesn't play defense. Chris Paul is still always hurt, and they still shoot a lot of threes. And this style, coached by kind of the inventor of shot in the first 7-second basketball, still hasn't won the playoffs. So and then yesterday they get mauled by the Thunder. Like, I still can't buy into the to the Rockets. Much like no matter how high Bitcoin goes, I have trouble buying. I don't know anyone who's like, I got to invest in it now.
I stopped listening to you because I still don't understand it and it's boring. So I don't. Bitcoin means less than nothing to me. But everybody else is going to get rich off of it.
I don't know everybody else. I think there are people that are getting rich off of it. There's somebody. I just don't want to be the guy who invests at like 15,000. Like, no, it's going to 30, it's going to 40, and then all of a sudden it's worth like 10 cents.
You said you almost did Tesla, right?
I did almost do Tesla, but I have another stock which my brother who just left. He advised me, like, I had like my grandma left me money when I graduated college, like a couple $1,000. It's like, you got to get in this Echelon C. It's going to 100, and it was like at 50 at the time. By the time I invested, it was 73. I think it's worth like 3 cents now. I honestly think so. Look, the Rockets were the champions of November and maybe December in the NBA. Much like the Chiefs won the Lombardi Trophy for September, and Alex Smith was the MVP of September. But until further notice, I can't invest in that stock. Here's Holly with the news.
No. Turn on the news.